It's here. It's here. Mark your calendars. The new saga has been released. The first chapter in the beginning of the most epic manga series has been released. Yes, Spider-Man and Octopus Girl. Yes, that series has come out on June 20th on Shonen Jump Plus, and I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. Like, I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I used to dabble a lot in it back in the day. I can't remember most of it, but I do know the characters. I don't know their full backstories and concepts, but I still was, of course, drawn into this because, one, it's a manga, it's Japan doing it, and you have the people behind My Hero Academia Vigilantes that's doing it, Hideyuki Furuhashi and Beten Koto. So, obviously, I'm gonna check it out. And yes, the first laugh that you get out of this whole thing is that, yes, the middle schooler that Dr. Octopus is inside of is Otaha, and she looks like Froppy from My Hero Academia, so that's obviously the first chuckle you'll get out of this. But yes, drawn to this whole thing because this is just absolutely bizarre. It's a basically body swap concept with one of the biggest villains of Marvel Entertainment, Dr. Octopus, so curiosity got me. But yes, a few things before I get into my thoughts and talk about the first chapter itself. Obviously, spoilers, I'm going to be talking about the first chapter, but additionally, if there's anything canon about Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus, I'm not going to know it. And additionally, I read a rough translation of this because the English version as of the recording of this was not available, so I just used a translator to figure out what they were saying, and so some of this stuff might be wishy-washy on exactly what they're saying. But yeah, let's jump into this first chapter. Yeah, essentially this particular first chapter opens up with Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man, and they're fighting each other, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, they're fighting each other again, so cool, and everybody's watching it and excited. And it has this one point where Spider-Man grabs him and just like starts swinging him around, and then Octopus's arms break, and he goes to fall down to his death. Well, while he's falling down, this AI jumps out of one of his tentacles and says, and it basically points out that it's an AI that's like from the year 2099, like it's this advanced AI. And this AI, Ana Maria 20, is like, hey, why'd you bring me out here? You're about to die. This is so tragic. And he's like, well, I would love to see you for my, final moments, so it's fine. And it sort of gives this little brief indication of like how Dr. Octopus himself is a good person. He just has too many enemies. And the AI really wants him to meet normal people, not AIs, and just make more friends. And he's like, no, I have too many enemies and I have to fight too much, so it's not going to work out that way. So what the AI ends up doing in this final moment before he dies, I need to move his spirit into something else. I need to place him somewhere else. And yes, as you can guess by the title, that ends up being a Japanese middle school girl. As he's sort of transferring, he has like his entire life flashing before his eyes, and I like how they kind of pull this off because it goes through like all this sequence of all the stuff you know about Dr. Octopus, the accident, him changing, and him joining this alliance of villains and taking on the world itself, and then suddenly out of nowhere, these little snippets of this girl's life are just kind of flashing before his eyes. So the aspect of like these photos from these ceremonies, her reading shoujo manga in secret, and that love letter she never sent. And the entire time he's going, wait, why are these popping into my head right now? But yes, he eventually wakes up inside the body of this girl, Otaha. And she apparently got in a car accident. It kind of shows where she's trying to save this cat and this truck's driving towards her. You find out later on she didn't actually get hit by the truck, but she nearly died, and that was the body that the AI put him into. So it almost has like this meshing of memories, but at the same time, this realization of, oh crap, I'm now in Tokyo. He activates this base that he has in Tokyo, apparently, which brings him some octopus arms, and then he goes to school. And this is where we kind of have that, I guess, meshing of the two stories here, is that really quickly he finds out, going to school, that everybody bullies this girl. Otaha was bullied in her class. You have like scribblings about how she's gonna die on her desk. There's this Gyaru girl that's making comments. You got this crazy chick that's behind her, and they're both kind of making fun of her, stepping on her glasses, until eventually he decides to just activate all of his tentacle arms and start beating the kids around before, yes, the actual spirit of Otaha stops him. Says, stop doing this. What the hell are you doing? So he rushes off, tells the teacher that, I guess the issues around the accident are still present. I got to get out of here. So he goes back to home where he starts to have a conversation with the spirit of Ota. And she's like, hey, yeah, you have my body. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, well, I'm Dr. Octopus. He's like, oh, yeah, that person that keeps losing to Spider-Man. And so he looks up, like, the video of his last fight, which shows that technically Spider-Man tried to save him. And that Dr. Octopus didn't die. He was saved by Spider-Man at the last minute. So apparently this AI thought he was going to die and moved him, but his body's fine. He's just in a coma. And so he's got to sort of figure out a way to get back to that body and give this girl her body back. I don't know, this is where it sort of gets a little bit hazy on the translation. I'm not sure if the intent here is to try to figure out a way to get the girl's spirit back into her body, or find a way to get back to his body and then transfer them both. I'm not sure exactly what the core idea is here, but they're giving an indication here that Dr. Octopus is a good person. He doesn't want to ruin a private citizen's life. He has his enemies, but he's not going to ruin this girl's life. And yes, similar to Dr. Octopus, she didn't necessarily get hit by the truck. She just went to save the cat and fell and hit her head. So she's not, like, dying. But she does have a weak heart. And she doesn't want to worry her aunt. So she's kind of like, don't cause problems again like you did. Don't attack the school student. I don't want to worry my aunt. So they kind of set some ground rules. He's like, I don't want to mess up anything, but you got a really bad life, and we need to kind of fix that. And so he goes into the process of, like, cutting her hair shorter because she had these long bangs. She kind of looked like the girl from Clueless First Friend. She's got that Shinigami dark look with the bangs in front of the eyes. So he cuts it down to a bowl cut because obviously he's got to look like Dr. Octopus and look dumb. I'm sorry, the haircut looks dumb. But it seems like he wants to sort of help her life, while at the same time not meddle too much. This is her life. And it sort of kind of transitions from that whole scene where he's saying that he doesn't want to ruin her life, doesn't want to get her involved, needs to get their bodies back to normal. But at the same time, he sort of gets interested in this idea of fixing her to a incredible extent. As he goes to school, he's flying around the sky with his octopus arms, and she's like, can you please just walk on the side of the road normally? And he's like, no, in New York, people always do this. And then he sees a cat being nearly hit. I think it's the same cat as before that she saved. And so yeah, he goes down and saves the cat in the most flashy way possible, and everybody's watching and everybody's freaking out how great this is and incredible. And that's where I think it's getting to the realm of him sort of taking things a little bit too far. It's obviously going to get the attention of Spider-Man. He's probably going to have to take a flight over to Japan. But it is taking that question of, like, he wants to help improve her. Even though he doesn't have all of his power and all of his equipment, he can still sort of do things that are acts of kindness. So it seems like overall what I'm sort of getting with this particular first chapter and what they're probably going to do with this story is the idea of the villain character, the misunderstood villain character that does have these delusions of grandeur, but also sort of, one, trying to help this girl out with her life, two, meeting people, because that's what the AI wanted him to do. I think that's the whole purpose of moving him into another body, is now he can be forced to have to meet people, have a normal life. So he's going to be meeting people, learning what it is to be a normal human, and at the same time, in the middle, having these delusions of grandeur that are going to be pushing him to do these stupid things that he really probably shouldn't do, and the entire time, Ota's like, please stop doing this. And that's where I think I got towards the later part of it, that's where I started getting a huge smile on my face. I'm like, this could actually be pretty cool. This idea of, this guy learning to have a heart because of the kindness of this little Japanese middle schooler, and her hopes of not worrying her aunt, all kind of mixing into one. Learn humanity, do acts of kindness, change your ways kind of thing. And I think if they do that, it could be a pretty cool little story. Not that I'm, not a huge fan of Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus or anything, but I guess technically throwing it into that realm of Japanese storytelling and mangakas sort of does intrigue me, being that I cover anime, manga, light novels, all that kind of stuff. Throughout the entire thing, it sort of gives a lot of indication. Again, this could be just mistranslation of this aspect of sort of the struggles that Ota's going through. Like when she gets her glasses broken, you sort of get an indication that her father would get really angry at her, so that was something that devastated her if she ever broke her glasses, and yes, the bullies would take advantage of that. Overall, like I said, no jokes aside, I'm pretty interested in this, and I'll see where it goes from here. I might just wait for the English releases going forward, because again, reading these rough translations is just, well, rough. But I hope you guys enjoyed my quick thoughts and impressions and a quick run through the first chapter, and if you guys are interested in it, definitely check it out. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, Let me know what you thought of this first chapter or if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to this channel, make sure that subscribe button's got my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, and membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.